Welcome to my fifth Professor Chat. I'm very excited about today's topic, your people strategy. I said in our last chat, your people strategy energizes your organization to fulfill your value proposition and achieve your vision and mission. Energizing involves two important dimensions, both of which are part of my 8 criteria in the 4-stage growth model: organization and leadership. I want to concentrate specifically on your leadership and that of your team members in my next Professor's Chat. This chat focuses on the organizational aspects of your people strategy. I have a leadership model called the 7 P's of leadership. And the first 3 P's are related to what I referred to as the outer world, or what really goes on in your organization. Those P's are people, planning, and performance. Now, in my blog, I have 4 articles covering these 3 P's of leadership. A number of the points I will make today are elaborated in those blogs. The centerpiece of your people strategy is the culture that you want to create within your organization. Now, in our discussion on vision, we talked about what is it like to work around here. The key element of culture is your stated values that we discussed with behaviors, performance, and attitudes. That was our framework. So in putting together your vision, you have thought through key elements of what your organization will look like in the future. As Professor Cotter would say, you are setting direction, aligning, and motivating your people. Now, an overarching consideration is that your organization needs to keep pace with the ever-changing business environment in which your company deals. Thus, you need to be able to excel in organizational change through learning and agility. Of course, organizations are made up of people with different needs and expectations. For one thing, we have all these different generations in the workplace. You hear about it all the time. I'm part of the baby boomers. And you got Gen X and the Xennials and the Millennials and the Gen Y and now the Gen Z. Each generation has different characteristics. But for me, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is still a good way of discerning people's needs. He laid out the lower level needs of safety, security, and social. Higher level needs involve one's ego and self-actualization. In many respects, current generations are into the me or the ego stage, and that tells you a lot. Now, I also think that Hertzberg many years ago captured some fundamentals with his classification of what he called hygiene factors and motivators. With hygiene, if people are not satisfied, they become demotivators, but not motivators. He labeled hygiene as the company's compensation policies, fringe benefits, status, the physical working conditions. Motivators were recognition, a sense of achievement, growth, and promotional opportunities, responsibility, and meaningfulness of work. Now, in today's environment, another hygiene factor may be the flexibility of the workplace location. COVID brought on a lot of remote work. And for young people in particular, a motivation is also having fun. An underlying factor demotivating your people, however, is the trust in your leadership. Can they depend on you to do what you say you will do? Now, a leadership motivator is to develop your people and to believe in their ability to perform. But you might say, some people, I don't believe they can, in fact, perform. Well, if they really can't perform, then they shouldn't have a seat on your jet plane organization. Now, the other alternative is to develop people. And I think Hershey and Blanchard's situational leadership model is a good way to think about growing your people. There are 4 quadrants. Now, when someone is new to the job, you essentially tell them what to do with instructions. And when they are making progress, you move into the second stage by the selling mode. You explain decisions and you provide the opportunity for clarification. And you're patting them on the back for their progress. Now, as they make substantial progress, you get them to participate and share ideas. You're still giving them positive reinforcing words of support, but less so. Finally, when they are highly capable, you delegate the activity to them, giving them responsibility for decisions and implementation. Well, to round out the discussion of people's needs, I think value propositions, not unlike your customer value proposition, your people value proposition, some elements of your people value proposition will be pervasive throughout the organization, while others will be specific to the individual, such as the Hershey-Blanchard situational leadership model suggests. Now, the key is to engage with individuals to find out their needs. And with some insight into what motivates people already, let's turn to the organization's functioning. Now, the design of the organization is who does what and why. Your overarching thought should be, how do we produce our value proposition most efficiently and effectively? If your leadership team has done the whiteboard exercise, then there is likely some redefinition of roles and responsibilities. Well, outlining these roles and responsibilities is extremely important. Putting them down on paper facilitates accountability. Now, too much rigidity takes away from your adaptability, but not enough structure leads to dysfunctional operations. Additionally, heavily hierarchical organizations can lead to rigidities, which is what happens in large companies. So keep your structure relatively flat. Some roles are individual contributors. Other roles have interfaces and need coordination. Where there are significant interfaces, you need to build team structures with team accountability. Your leadership team is a good example. Who's on the team? What is their team role? How does the team coordinate together? Well, we have been discussing the formal organization. There also exists an informal organization. People who develop relationships and affiliations during work, over lunch, at coffee breaks, and so forth. They can be supportive or resistant to your direction. So identify these informal leaders who can be helpful in getting people on board to where you want to go. Where you want to go takes planning. All of these professor chats so far have been about planning your future. Where will you do business? That's your domain. What your future state will look like and how the organization will operate, your vision. And mission, what do we hope to achieve? Now, we have been outlining the strategies or the directional pathways to get you there. Exciting plans of where you want to go can be very energizing to the organization. Well, the proof of the pudding comes down to performance. Have your short and midterm plans moved you successfully towards your chartered future state? Well, now what else should be going on in the organization to create a winning positive momentum? Because the downside of losing and lack of achievement is demotivating. Well, onboarding people to the company, its plans and what they need to do requires lots of communications beyond the day-to-day. Bring people together to discuss your plans, both short and long term. Having an annual meeting works well for many of my clients. Now, all communication should be a dialogue with your people participating and getting their interaction and input. Now, another planning function is to have follow-up performance reviews at the company level, the organizational units, projects, and individual level. The timing of these reviews should depend on what is being reviewed. That only makes sense. Project reviews should be around milestones. Company performance should be at least quarterly and perhaps monthly. Individual feedback can be continuous, but formal reviews at least annually. And when you do, celebrate accomplishments. Work constructively to reposition problems and issues. So done properly, performance reviews bring about accountability and ownership of the results. The focus should be on growth and continuous improvement. As you're aware, trying to grow your company, recognize you need to keep growing your people, as we've been previously discussing here. So the bottom line, to execute successfully requires an energized organization. It also requires well-developed processes to deliver your services or product to your customer. Processes and the organization are intricately linked. We have talked about developing differentiated processes as part of your value proposition. And these key processes should also be part of performance reviews. Well, wrapping up this chat, there are a lot of dynamics in building a high-performance, energized organization. And I've tried to paint a high-level picture for you. Much more could be said on many of these topics. Teamwork, particularly, is an area with lots of best practices that you may want to explore more. Well, that's it. See you next time.